We are here with Neel Kashkari. He is the president of the Minneapolis Fed, and he has been kind enough to invite us to his place to ask you about the economy, and particularly the Fed minutes today. A lot of focus on what you guys did at the last meeting, including adding the word further to your line about gradual adjustments, further gradual adjustments. Were you sending a signal by doing that?
Well, first of all, great to see you. Thanks for coming to the sunny Mississippi River at the Minneapolis Fed. Every time that we debate each word change in the statement, a lot of debate goes into those. And I think further is intended to say continuing the current path that we're on. And I think that's the debate that we've been having. Personally, for me, I'm very focused on what's the outlook for inflation? What's the outlook for wage growth? Is there still slack in the labor market? And when the minutes come out today, I'll let the minutes speak for themselves. I think that the markets can read those and interpret what the collective views of the committee was as opposed to just one person's view.
Well, one person's view, Patrick Harker, your colleague from Philadelphia, he's out this morning saying only 2 rate increases because he doesn't see inflation moving. You were the guy who didn't see inflation moving last year. You dissented a number of times. Do you see that changing in 2018?
Well, that's what I'm waiting to see. I don't want to overreact to one job report, which showed the wage increases of about 2.9%, or the latest CPI numbers. And again, we don't want to dismiss the data, but I also don't want to overreact to 1 month's blip in the data. And we have to look at year over year what's happening and then see, is inflation actually building towards our target? I hope it is. For almost 10 years, the Fed has been undershooting our inflation target. We keep saying inflation's right around the corner, and then it disappoints us. So my reaction has been, let's just take our time, allow inflation to come to us. We have very powerful tools to keep inflation from getting too high. We have very limited tools if inflation ends up being too low. So I've been saying, let's let the inflation come to us.
But just reacting to inflation with those powerful tools can have side effects, certainly in the markets. You've got a jumpy Wall Street these days. If you saw inflation break out, are you concerned that you would see Wall Street overreact, perhaps, to the Fed moving more quickly?
Wall Street overreacts to everything. They overreact on the upside. They overreact on the downside. We can't make policy based on market blips up and down. We have to focus on the long-term economic outlook and on the mandates that Congress has given us. Congress has said our dual mandate is stable prices and maximum employment, and we try to achieve those on average over the long term. Wall Street's going to do what Wall Street's going to do.
But if they do that, it could have an effect on the economy. And for years, people on Wall Street have said the Fed will step in because they don't want a collapse in business or consumer confidence if the markets go down too much. Is that so-called Fed put, do you think, still in place?
Well, I think that we do care about financial stability, and we do know that there's a feedback mechanism, just like there's a feedback mechanism through the currency markets on the U.S. economy. But we at the Fed aren't targeting currencies. We aren't saying we're going to try to move the dollar up or we're going to move the dollar down. We know that there's a feedback loop. So we do pay attention to either currencies or the stock market, but we're not sitting here trying to engineer a certain level of the stock market. And obviously, we want to avoid crises. So to me, I try to differentiate a stock market correction like the tech bubble bursting, which did not lead to a financial crisis, from the 2008 housing bust, which did lead to a financial crisis. We have to work very hard to try to prevent crises, but within that, we should allow markets to move up and down.